Checkers. It looks so simple. There couldn't be any strategy to it, could there? I mean, we all used to play this as kids. Well, there is in fact some great strategy involved, and I will share 5 tips on how to dominate your friends at checkers here on Legendary Tactics. Checkers is a classic board game that has been enjoyed for centuries. Despite its simple rules, checkers is a game of strategy and skill that requires careful planning and foresight to win. In this guide, we will explore some key strategies and tactics that will help you improve your game and outmaneuver your opponent. Before diving into strategy, let's start with the basics. Each player starts with 12 pieces placed on the dark squares of the checkerboard, each filling the first 3 rows on their side of the board. Make sure that it is oriented properly. Basically, it should look like this, with a dark square at the bottom of the board on each player's left. Pieces can only move diagonally forward, and they capture opponents' pieces by jumping over them. The exception is that if you can get a checker to the far row on your opponent's side, that piece becomes a king and can move and jump forward or backward. The goal is to either capture all of your opponent's pieces or block them so that they can't make any more legal moves. Black, or whoever is playing the darker color, goes first. Here are my top 5 tips on how to win. Number 1. Control the center. The center of the board is the most valuable area in checkers. By controlling the center, you can limit your opponent's options and create opportunities for your own pieces to move and capture more easily. Try to place your pieces in the center early in the game and maintain control throughout. If you are going first, it is almost always the strongest move to go either here or here, and then follow up with this move here. If you look, it creates an X which protects all of your pieces, controls the center, and gives you a ton of flexibility, while forcing your opponent to the sides. While it seems that moving to the edges is safe as those pieces cannot immediately be captured, checkers is not a game that can be won by playing defensively. It is likely that those pieces on the edge will be forced to make a suboptimal move at some point, and the nature of their position is that they have no options or flexibility. Number 2. Develop and keep a strong formation. A strong formation is key to a successful checkers strategy. Keeping your pieces together allows them to support each other and makes it harder for your opponent to capture them. Avoid spreading your pieces out too thinly, as this can leave them vulnerable to being picked off one by one. One common formation is the triangle formation, where your pieces are arranged in a triangular shape with a point facing your opponent. This formation allows your pieces to support each other and control key squares on the board. To strengthen this formation even further, you can make a diamond shape like this. It can be useful to think in terms of shapes on the board, as you can recognize strong and weak formations of your own pieces as well as your opponent's. The edges of the board can be used to your advantage, but not in the way you might immediately think. As mentioned earlier, by forcing your opponent's pieces to the edge of the board, you can limit their mobility and create opportunities for captures, as they are forced to move out from the safety of the margins. Be careful not to trap your own pieces on the edge very often, as this can also limit your options. Number 3. Use forced moves. Forcing your opponent to make moves they don't want to make can give you a significant advantage, and can be the key to winning. Look for opportunities to create forced moves, such as setting up multiple jumps in a row or putting your opponent's pieces in a position where they have no good moves. Here are a couple of examples where red really has nowhere to go. There is a momentum aspect to this, where if you can get an opponent on their heels with forced move after forced move in front of them, they will be helpless to do anything else other than concede. In tournament play, capturing moves are mandatory, whether offered actively or passively, and typically must be carried through multiple jumps if available to completion. If there are multiple capturing opportunities available, the player at least gets to choose which one they would like to do. In fact, there is a rule called the huffing rule, where if it is found that a checker failed to capture another piece when it had the opportunity, the offending piece can be huffed and removed from the board. When playing casually, because this official rule is not as widely known, it often gets ignored, but it doesn't mean you can't put your opponent in a position where they really can't move anything without facing immediate capture. Number 4. Control the king row. The king row is the farthest row on your opponent's side of the board and the closest one on yours. As mentioned earlier, if a piece reaches their opponent's king row, it is crowned and becomes a king, and can now move diagonally forward and backward, which is extremely powerful. In many ways, checkers is ultimately about protecting your own king row and trying to break into that of your opponents, as it is likely that whoever has the most kings will win the game. Don't move your pieces away from your king row unless necessary, as that creates the opportunity for your opponent to enter that space to promote kings. When a gap opens up in a king row, expect it to become the intense focus of both players, whether on attack or defense. Don't be afraid to sacrifice a checker to clear a path to your opponent's king row, as it will likely always be worth it. Number 5. Plan ahead. Checkers is a game of planning and foresight, as there is no luck involved. Try to anticipate your opponent's moves and plan your own moves several turns ahead. Look for opportunities to create multiple jump sequences or set up your pieces for a strong endgame. As in most abstract strategy games, if you find yourself ahead in pieces, you may want to start trading checkers one for one, as the impact of the imbalance grows as the number of checkers on the board decreases. Even if you start out with, say, an 8-7 advantage, after a few trades, the balance can suddenly be at 4-3, which gives you an outsized advantage at that scale. Be wary of falling into traps set by your opponent. Always think carefully before making a move and consider how your opponent might respond. And don't forget that you don't need to capture every opposing checker to win. You can also win by blocking your opponent so that they cannot move on their turn. And as with any strategy game, practice is key to improving your skills at checkers. Play regularly against opponents, preferably of a higher skill level, which allows you to hone your strategy and learn from your mistakes. The more you play, the better you will become at anticipating your opponent's moves, recognizing patterns, and developing your own winning strategies. Remember to stay flexible and adapt your strategy to the changing circumstances of the game, and most importantly, have fun. This is Legendary Tactics.